As we're about to shed light on the legacy of Japanese horror movies of the 70s and 80s, we must understand its profound influence on contemporary cinema. From the resurgence of J-horror in the 90s with Ringu and Ju-on the Grudge, to the ongoing fascination with supernatural folklore and urban legends, Japanese horror cinema fascinates and influences filmmakers and audiences alike. Renowned for their unconventional narratives and non-linear storytelling, these movies have been lauded for their visual imagery and unsettling psychological experiences for the viewers. Movies like Sweet Home and House are Japanese cult movies that everyone still praises for dealing with subjects like guilt, trauma, and supernatural entities with precision. So let's take a deep dive into the world of Japanese cult classics and discover why they're considered the best in the game. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. House, 1977. Remember the good old days when summer vacations were a huge thing? Going out for vacations to Disneyland and the beach and meeting family members are nostalgic memories we cherish all our lives. But for Gorgeous, it wasn't going to be a fun affair when she thought of spending her summer vacation at her aunt's mansion in a rural Japanese village. She even tagged along with 6 of her school friends for the trip. Little did they know that this trip would be their last summer because they would be trapped there by the evil spirits in the mansion. After a series of unholy affairs with the characters, they realize that the mansion manifests life into the household items in the presence of the evil spirit of the aunt, who was killed herself long before waiting for her husband's arrival from World War II. It's always fascinating to witness a blend of horror and comedy, if done wonderfully. House is a masterpiece that can outrun masterfully crafted movies like Eraserhead, Beetlejuice, Cabin in the Woods, and Evil Dead 2 with its unconventional storyline, use of set pieces, practical effects, and weird stop-motion animation at its best. With this unique film, debutante director Nobuhiko Obayashi offers a unique psychedelic experience that baffles the audience with its simple yet intriguing story. Evil Dead Trap, 1988. Directed by Toshiharu Ikeda, Evil Dead Trap tells the story of Nami. Nami hosts a famous late-night show that televises homemade tapes sent in by her fans. But she had no idea that her life was about to change after watching one of those videos. One day, Nami received a tape addressed to her by an anonymous person. Though initially she took it for granted as a standard video, upon watching the video, she realized it was no ordinary video, but a terrifying clip of a woman getting stripped, gagged, and slashed in an abandoned warehouse. Despite several denials from her boss, hungry for attention and fame, Nami considered it a great opportunity to popularize her show and dropped by the filming location of that tape with a few of her associates. When they reached there, they came to know that the killer was using a deserted military base for his heinous deeds. Dressed in a black rain slicker, wielding a Bowie knife, the man kills them one by one with his booby traps. The Western slasher movies hugely inspired this movie. Director Ikeda creates an absolute masterpiece out of this hell of an eerie movie. He successfully builds atmospheric tension, dreamy sequences, and graphic violence at their best. The unpredictable, surreal moments in the movie will put you on the edge of your seat as you experience this classic masterpiece. Sweet Home, 1989. Released in January 1989, Sweet Home is still an iconic film on its merit. This movie has inspired numerous films and video games after 35 years of release. Like Evil Dead Trap, this movie tells the story of a film crew that goes to shoot a documentary at the house of famous artist Mamiya Ichiro. It seems that in those times, the popularity of documentary films was at its height in Japan. But after entering the mansion, it suddenly becomes clear to them that this mansion filled with with precious paintings has fallen into the clutches of an evil spirit. After a lot of bone-chilling incidents, they discover that, after the death of Mamiya Ichiro's toddler, his wife committed suicide. Since then, her spirit has been haunting anyone who tries to trespass on the property. This movie is a perfect guide for filmmakers to learn the art of building tension, sound design, and brilliant use of cinematography. The movie uses a lot of practical effects and VFX to showcase the impactful supernatural presence throughout the film. You also have to remember that Sweet Home not only deals with some uncalled ghostly affairs, but it also deals with something way more powerful than that, which is the love of a mother. How a mother turns evil after she loses her toddler is far scarier than a few jump scares you get from recent movies. Under the Blossoming Cherry Trees, 1975. People believe love is blind, but is it blind enough that you can't distinguish good from evil? Well, director Masahiro Shinada's supernatural thriller, Under the Blossoming Cherry Trees, tells such a story, where a man's ready to do anything for the sake of his love. A bandit named Tomisaburo Wakayama kidnaps a beautiful girl and falls in love with her. But to his surprise, the girl is no ordinary girl, but a dangerous, sadistic psychopath who lures him into her web of love and proposes to him that she will marry him only if he murders all the women held captive by him at his place. Blinded by the girl's angelic beauty, Wakayama agrees to kill everyone she asks to fulfill her desires. If we look at the history of Japan, its relationship with cherry blossoms goes back centuries. In olden times, people considered them a curse. They believed that whoever walks under those flowers is cursed by the evil spirits, and this movie does justice to that folklore by portraying the beautiful landscape of cherry trees to tell this horrific, gritty, and dreadful story of desire, death, and power. This movie plays with your psyche and forces you to raise questions about the moral integrity of the characters and how a beautiful girl is manipulating the lead character to fulfill her menacing wishes. Tetsuo the Iron Man, 1989. Touted as one of the most influential Japanese films ever made, Tetsuo is a prime example of cyberpunk cinema that explores the intersection of technology, society, and dystopian future. From the beginning itself, director Shinya Tsukamoto sets a futuristic tone for the film as we see a metal fetishist trying to perform surgery on himself, where he's trying to insert a thick metal rod into his thigh. But after a while, we get to know that his surgery didn't go as he anticipated and had severely damaged his thigh, and his wound was filled with maggots. The scared man runs towards the city and accidentally gets run over by a car. Soon, we learn that our car driver was a common salaryman whose body started turning into metal after the incident. But as if that wasn't enough for his sufferings, he starts getting haunted by the metal fetishist. Through its surreal and nightmarish imagery, Tetsuo deals with the fear of losing humanity in a world dominated by machines. The protagonist's transformation is a metaphor for society's obsession with technology and its potential to consume and dehumanize us. What makes Tetsuo the Iron Man a must-watch is its groundbreaking visual style and innovative storytelling techniques. Shot in black and white with masterful editing and the use of practical effects and body horror elements, it pushes the boundaries of cinematic storytelling, leaving a lasting impression on audiences. Empire of Passion, 1978. American Beauty, Fatal Attraction, The Sopranos, and Unfaithful? What is the one thing that connects all these fan-favorite movies? Adultery, yes. This film is well known for being a controversial topic. Due to their presence, the lives of the characters in this film turn into a dark cloud for a moment, and their lives take a U-turn from happiness to sorrow. Similarly, Empire of Passion deals with adultery from a different perspective, where his wife and her young lover kill a rickshaw puller in the 19th century in fear of getting caught. While the man is drunk, the lovers strangle the man to death and dump his body in an abandoned well. But the love between the woman and her young lover starts fading away, and the vengeful spirit of the man returns to take revenge on his wife. Empire of Passion is a signature movie by director Nagisa Oshima, who uses a richly textured narrative that will make you stick to the screen from start to finish. Oshima's skillful portrayal of romance, suspense, and psychological drama captivates you in this beautifully made film. The forbidden tale of love, betrayal, and murder set against the backdrop of of rural Japan deals with a complex characteristic of the leads that compels you to ask yourself questions. Cyclops, 1987. In the late 1980s, pink films were a huge thing in Japan. Made on an effectively lower budget, with many graphic scenes, taboo subjects, nudity, and unconventional storytelling, these movies became popular among younger audiences. However, Cyclops is arguably the most influential pink film to date. It still serves as a cultural commentary on contemporary Japanese society for international audiences. Cyclops tells the story of a group of genetically mutated human beings who, due to the nuclear effects of World War II, have gained some weird superpowers. After a series of experiments, a scientist finds a solution to put them in human society by suppressing their mutation. But they're not safe in society, as a group of psychotic killers are after them because, according to them, they don't deserve to live among men. With its unconventional storytelling, jump cuts, and symbolism, iconic director Joji Iida makes sure you fall for the cultural commentary of current Japanese society. It also acts as a metaphor for the Japanese people, as it showcases a controversial subject like the nuclear bombing and the after effects of it on Japanese society. Though it might sound like a Marvel superhero movie, it is a PG version of any superhero film with gritty, raw storytelling. It uses a lot of violence and practical effects to invest you in the story. Door, 1988. What happens when the lines between reality and illusion draw a thin line, trapping us within the maze of our minds? Directed by Banmei Takahashi, Door is a compelling and mysterious horror movie that deals with social commentary, class dynamics, and the vulnerability of women in society. Remember how the iconic movie Parasite portrayed class dynamics, where the poor Kim family invaded the wealthy and privileged Park family for their gain and later killed them for their wealth? Similarly, in Door, a wealthy housewife named Yoshiko becomes the target of a relentless stalker. After denying the entry of a door-to-door salesman into her home, she starts getting anonymous calls from a man who tries to harass the woman in a series of incidents. Even in those circumstances, Yoshiko needs to stay strong and fight with the stalker because she has to fight for her survival in any given circumstance. This is best compared to Michael Haneke's Funny Games, released in 1997, where a wealthy family gets tortured on vacation by a group of young criminals. Both movies deal with a growing push for individualism and the fear of isolation in the current generation. Though Yoshiko lives in the densely populated neighborhood of a high-rise apartment building, she still gets haunted by a psychotic killer, and she has no escape from her home. This also sets an example for society and its view towards gender roles, themes of power dynamics, and the strength of the human spirit. If you love some good thrillers, you should definitely check them out, as their universal themes will give you a chilling experience. The Vampire Doll, 1970. The New York Times, in its review of the film, said, "Don't be fooled by what seems like a conventional staging. Plenty is lurking around the bend. Some of it is hair-raising." Boy, they were definitely right. In this exceptionally well-written film, director Michio Yakamoto redefines the tale of vampires in a marvelous way. A man named Kazuhiko moves back to Japan after his brief stint in the States and visits his beautiful fiancée Yuko in the remote countryside in the woods. But upon his arrival, he gets the news from her fiancé's mother that Yuko had died in a landslide 2 weeks before his arrival. Unconvinced by the narrative, Kazuhiro stays there to investigate the matter, but starts getting haunted by his girlfriend's spirit. After a few days, Kazuhiko's sister and her fiancé drop by after their failed attempt to contact Kazuhiko. After their arrival, a series of unsettling activities occur in the woods. With its masterfully choreographed cinematography, tension building, eerie music, and brilliant story, The Vampire Doll effectively creates a palpable sense of fear throughout the film. As one of the earliest entries in the Kaidan Shin Mimibukuro series, The Vampire Doll helped pave the way for upcoming Japanese horror film, influencing directors and filmmakers for years. Marvelous verdict. Japanese horror movies of the 70s and 80s are some of the best classic films in world cinema for their unconventional storytelling, innovative techniques, and exploration of intriguing and controversial stories as a series of experimental cinema, where films like Under the Blossoming Cherry Trees, The Vampire Dolls, and Empire of Passion dealt with fantasy elements and Japanese folklore in the mainstream media. Films like Cyclops, Door, and Tetsuo beautifully portrayed the elements of modern horror and welcomed a new futuristic perspective for the movies. Directors of this era, such as Michio Yakamoto and Kiyoshi Kurosawa, were known for their experimental approach to filmmaking. They pushed the boundaries of visual storytelling with surreal imagery, unconventional effects, and rapid editing techniques, as seen in movies like Cyclops and Evil Dead Trap. These movies have attained cult classic status for their audacious creativity and provocative nature. They resonate with audiences across generations, inspiring filmmakers worldwide and leaving a lasting legacy in popular culture. So which of these brilliant movies would you like to add to your watch list? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content.